Porter, and I'm the Executive Director of the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, Texas. Wow, I wish I had an easy, cut and dry subject like smut, child abuse, etc. But with mental health, we get led around by our heartstrings because we all want children to be healthy and we all want children to be happy. And that's our Achilles heel. In the wake of the Santa Fe shooting, the Texas legislature passed legislation that had a few lines in it that were actually meant a whole lot more than what was on paper. What they did was they created what was known as a multi-tiered system of support. Hey, support, how bad could it be? Well, let's look. This is the universal level. We're talking about, hang on, let me push this. Okay. We're talking about, I'll skip the teacher stuff. Interpersonal, social, emotional, behavioral, skill building lessons. Wow, what a mouthful. Are you all familiar with social emotional learning?
Oh, yes.
Okay, it's that plus all the mental health stuff, okay? Teaching mental health awareness. You know, it's funny, one thing that we learned during the opioid crisis was that you had a lot of industry-funded groups that were doing awareness campaigns, right? So pain meds were under threat, but you had industry-related groups going, oh no, we gotta have the pain meds, right? This stuff becomes commercial. Advisory with lessons and caring adult access for all students. Are any of y'all familiar with Circle Time? You will be. Self-referral process and promotion of help-seeking behavior without stigma to access services and supports. We're talking about allowing underage children to self-refer. Okay? We're talking about your children, some of their most private thoughts. We're talking about people who can influence their values, their attitudes. You know, it's amazing, for years, education really reflected our religious beliefs, right? Christians founded our country. Those were the values. It was expected that parents would teach their children well, and that the school would be a continuation of that. You know, we depended on morals, manners, etiquette, discipline. Now we depend on psychology. Present company accepted. Then you've got your, school-wide behavior support. You've got your school climate improvement surveys. Is anybody here not tired of hearing about surveys? Then you've got universal screening. We're talking about, it's funny, we've always said that in healthcare, if you go for help, that's healthcare. If help comes for you, that's marketing. So when we're reaching out and we're screening children with screeners that we know produce false positives, and some of them significant numbers of false positives, what do you think is going to happen? In 2004, when we were working on foster care reform, and we got contacted by a family, they had consented for their daughter to participate in a screening program at DeSalle Middle School in Pflugerville. The first day she was screened, everything was hunky-dory. The second day she was screened, she answered every question in its most negative possible way. The family was told they needed to admit her to a psych hospital. They decided to get a second opinion. 30 to 45 days later, Child Protective Services showed up at their school, called the dad, said, come get your daughter. The dad said, I can't, my wife has the car. They said, you lost her then. They took her to Austin State Hospital. While she was there, she was restrained 26 times. She was cycled through 13 drugs, many of them concurrently. It took us, an investigative reporter, her attorney, a psychologist, and their family doctor 4 months before that family even got visitation, and another couple of months before she would get home. These are not safe. So let's see what we're talking about. Elementary school health education materials. You see the pie graphs there? You see on that top one, that big blue part? Okay, these are community engagement lectures. These are what they recommend where you have people come in from the community. When you were a kid, you probably had a dentist come to your school and tell you about the importance of good dental care, right? We went through all of their recommended community engagement things. And we picked the ones that were touting a service. So you've got 43 touting mental health, 16 touting the benefits of good medical checkups, 10 promoting, the benefits of dentistry, and 8 random pharmacy lectures. A little bit one-sided, wouldn't you think? Here's a recommended topic for kindergartners. Discuss the importance of talking to a mental health provider to help with managing stress and learning ways to cope with stress. In kindergarten. I don't want my kindergartner talking to anybody about stress. If you notice a problem with my kindergartner, there's only 2 numbers you need to know. Mom, Dad. The second is the songs that were incorporated into these instructional materials. I'm pretty sure that a lot of y'all here actually reviewed the new health instructional materials when they were coming out. This is from those. Okay, so you had, in that bottom paragraph, you can see that most of it is dark blue, green, and kind of a purpley color. That's emotional, social, intellectual. All of it's psych. You've got less than a quarter that's physical, and then you've got that little bitty red part, safety, which is insane because accidents are the leading cause of death for young children, and they are the leading cause by far, right? Self-assessments embedded in lessons. Here's a stress assessment from an SEL curriculum. Gosh, let's see here. Death in the family, death of a friend, parent is incarcerated, divorce in the family, parent is arrested. Is that anybody's business at school? No. But that's okay. Because if you score 100 or better, they're recommending that you seek professional help. You're a kid. Texas Education Agency. They produce sample self-referral forms so that school students can self-refer to the counselor. These are not about academic counseling. An emoji-based psychological assessment embedded into English language arts. What a way to go. It was so, at first it looked kind of benign. Circle the emoji that describes how you feel. Explain why you circled. Explain why you circled the emoji. You realize people go to therapists for years to figure out why they feel like they feel. But we have kids getting assessed daily. That data ain't for them, I'm sorry. An app known as Rhythm. It's emoji-based. Let's see, what about that app? Well, parents were told that it's a daily emoji check that provides data to teachers about how ready students are to learn and generally how they're doing. It then launches quick health and well-being related activities to get students ready to learn and build life skills. But what their website said at the time was that it was a robust emoji-fied biopsychosocial assessment. So you would think, since that would be psychological testing, that you would need parental consent. No. And is it a mental health app? Well, let's see here. Clinical input from licensed professionals allows Rhythm Inc. to separate itself from other digital mental health platforms and ensures that students receive up-to-date and impactful mental health interventions specific to increasing overall student engagement. Sounds like a mental health app to me. Licensed clinicians design rhythm activities and lesson videos to give rhythm users access to the same skills, interventions, and knowledge that one would discover in individual therapy and coaching. Mental health app. But then you have a mom who complains because it was done on her 6-year-old daughter without her knowledge or consent. And the school district tells her that, actually, our records indicate that you signed the district's responsible use policy. The district's responsible use policy says by signing this document, you grant the ISD permission to create student accounts for your student, in parentheses, Microsoft Office 365 for education, Google Workspace, and other educational apps approved by the ISD. Therefore, the ISD received permission from you to create student account applications approved by the district, which includes Rhythm. Therefore, I trust your concern has been remedied. How did that remedy anything? That's insane. So what do we gotta do? And you gotta understand, particularly in the wake of Uvalde, once again, more services in our school or in schools are gonna be pushed. If you want your child to have services, that's your business. But you have to understand that you have people that are influencing your child's values, the way they feel about themselves. They're talking about their emotions. What could possibly go wrong? And you need to know about it. So what can you do? Opt-in consent for any psychological examination, testing, or treatment. House Bill 1149 and its companion bill, Senate Bill 400 and Senate Bill 595, create a broad definition of those things. What we wanted was that if your kid walks in the school, in the door, and the principal says, "Hey, how you doing?" He's on thin ice. Right? Anyway, that bill, to be informed of and have the ability to participate in threat assessment, that is House Bill 473. To know how many students are being transported to psych hospitals, that's House Bill 201. And hey, it's up to us to take our schools back to basics, and now I'm getting the hook, so I've got to introduce Dr. O'Loughlin.
So Dr. O'Loughlin, and then we have Monica Cole.